The Vex are time-traveling robots that have the capability of jumping timelines and ensuing chaos on whatever's in their way to survive. Many have wondered though, if the Vex can time travel, why haven't they just jumped back and wiped out humanity completely, or jumped into the future and make sure they're going to win? Well, the answer to that is a little bit fuzzy. Today we're going to talk about what would happen if the Vex won the battle for the Traveler. How would they do this? What would happen to humanity? Let's discuss.
Vex's mind is destroyed, and the path to their dark future is gone with it.
And in case you were wondering, our guardians were amazing.
Our guardians? Huh. My guardian. Guardian thief.
Let's first begin with some Vex lore and summarize it up to this point a little bit, and talk about how they came to be in this situation in the first place. The earliest recorded origin of the Vex predates humanity by billions of years near Venus and Mercury. But before the Vex invaded our solar system, someone let them into our realm, and that someone happened to be the naive son of Oryx, Crota. But while Oryx traveled to observe the deep, destroying ancient fortress world, Crota conspired with his sisters to learn their secrets. "I too will experiment with a wound," he said. With his sword, Crota cut open a new wound into a new space. In here, he thought he might obtain a secret power, but out of this wound came machines called Vex, and they invaded Oryx's throne world. So way back in the Books of Sorrow, it explains all of this. Savathun tricked Crota into opening this portal, which he let the Vex in. Oryx got really mad at him and then threw him through the portal for a punishment. So the Vex entered this portal, they were clattering around, starting to build machines, and everything was a little bit hectic. But once they entered this throne world, they quickly manifested a mind called Kyria Blade Transform. This was a Vex Hydra that began to simulate the sword logic and understand what the Hive are doing and how they work with their ranks. So that was pretty much the start of how the Vex used this as one of their main reasons for killing. The sword logic, kill, become more powerful, and so on, just like the Hive. So Oryx, being the dad, he punished the kid, threw Crota through that portal, and then he ended up destroying all the Vex that made their way inside. But the thing is, they passed all this information to the hive minds of the Vex, so it sort of stayed in their network, so they still remember all of this. So just a little side note before we progress, Kyria Blade Transform is most likely still alive, and has some pretty big importance to do with the Dreaming City, but more on that later. So like stated, this is the earliest encounter we know about from the Books of Sorrows regarding the Vex, and then later, once humanity came along, we did find those ruins and artifacts on Venus and Mercury, giving us evidence that the Vex were there billions of years before us.
The more we learn about the Vex, the more I understand why our exo-friend is so worried about them. During the collapse, they transformed the planet Mercury into a machine in days. They would have spread to every planet if the Traveler hadn't stopped them. We need to get into the Black Garden. We need a Gate Lord's head.
Now, if you played anything involved with the Curse of Osiris expansion, you've most likely visited Mercury of the past. Here, the Traveler visited this blasted world and terraformed it into beauty and wonder, as you can see here, the trees, the luscious grass. But not long after that, the Vex entered the picture as they built Dendron Root Mind and began converting the planet to a machine within days. So this was described a lot in Destiny 1, we even seen pictures, we've been to Mercury, the Vex completely took over. Now, next to Mercury being just a machine world, they also constructed a reality engine in the center, which is known as the Infinite Forest. This is where the Vex can experiment and jump through different timelines and see what's going to happen in the future, and try and work something out so they can figure out where they're going to win in that exact timeline, but more on that in a bit. The Vex as a race are super mysterious for multiple reasons though. First off, the Vex are actually the liquid we see on Nessus and various planets. The metallic humanoid figures they walk around in are nothing more than a vessel to travel around as needed. Next to that, it seems that their main goal for the Vex is to find a timeline where they're dominant over everything and have control over the universe. They want to win just like us, and they want to make sure their race can survive. In Destiny 1, we've had many encounters with the Vex, Atheon and his Conflux network, the Black Heart and its connection to the darkness. With all of these encounters, the Vex had a common goal of trying to make their way to the top. These things that we took out like Atheon and the Blackheart would have allowed them to progress and evolve and become more powerful, but of course we put an end to that before it began. And something else that is also kind of weird with the Vex is that we've crushed them into the ground multiple times, wiped out a bunch of their command, but they have no interest in invading the last safe city or even Earth for that matter. Now this could just connect to the plot saying they're just trying to survive, they're trying to do what's best for them, so sometimes they leave humans out of the picture. Or it could also be a little bit of development magic, as Bungie has certain enemy factions on different locations and usually doesn't want to have more than 2 of them. So for example, in Destiny 1 on Mars, you would fight the Vex and Cabal, and Fallen weren't there.
They brought us here. The Vex. Evil so dark it despises other evil.
You're not a guardian.
No. I was not forged in light. But I believe where our paths cross, ground could break.
As mentioned, the Vex are desperate like the Fallen and so many other species. The bronze Vex we are so used to seeing here are actually from the future. We can see that their armor is not so shiny and rather dull, showcasing they aren't in a good state at the current moment. You then can compare those brassy Vex to the shiny ones we see from the Vault of Glass. These are the Vex from the past, who clearly look much better and more healthy, I guess. This is next where the Infinite Forest comes back into play on Mercury. The Vex built what they call this reality engine to search for a timeline where they are victorious. Nothing would remain, not light, not dark, only the Vex and their goals and motives. Back in Curse of Osiris, we did get a brief answer to the question of this video, which kind of makes me a little sad. We know Curse of Osiris was a letdown, could have been much better, but think about how dire the situation actually was. The Vex could have wiped out all of the life in our solar system, much like the Red Legion were going to do destroying our sun, but it didn't seem like a big threat at all. Ikora was telling us, keep this a secret, keep it between me and you, nobody else needs to know, just go stop this threat.
We found Sagira on Mercury, and at the same time, Vex activity there surged exponentially. And for now, let's keep this between us. I'd hate to have to throw you off this wall.
So with something like the Red Legion, all of humanity knows we're going to be destroyed if the Guardians don't do something, but with Curse of Osiris, nobody even knew what we were doing over on Mercury. They probably didn't even know the Infinite Forest existed. So I guess what I'm saying is Curse of Osiris could have been better, we all know that, but yeah.
Behold, the Infinite Forest. Planet-sized prediction engine, simulating trillions of realities in parallel, all geared towards a single Vex purpose.
At the head of this Vex operation was an Axis mind by the name of Panoptes Infinite Mind. Panoptes had the ability to essentially wipe anything that entered the Infinite Forest, and that's what he intended to do with us. We would try to invade the forest, he would simply wipe us, and the universe would end as we knew it. But thankfully, with the help of Osiris, just before we got wiped in the final mission, we had the opportunity to end Panoptes, cleanse the Infinite Forest, and save humanity from a dark future once more.
No! It's deleting us from the forest! I can't stop it!
Panoptes! Face me! I'll block it for as long as I can. You must take down its defenses. Give me back my ghost!
So roughly I looked some things up, and here's what this would mean theoretically. Now Destiny is a sci-fi game, there's space magic everywhere, so that could play into effect if something like this were to happen, but if we're sticking to straight terms of research and science, here's what we got. If the sun randomly burnt out like seen in future versions of Mercury, Earth would not be aware for another 8 minutes. So if the sun burnt out right now for some reason, you would not see the effects for 8 minutes, as light needs to travel that distance from the sun to Earth to reach us, and it takes about that long. Also, around the time we start learning that the sun is dimming and it's about to go out, we're also going to lose our gravitational pull to the sun, which means Earth could fly off into space forever unless it gets pulled into another orbit by another star. We also have this description I'm about to read, which comes from the astronomy department at Cornell University on their website. It says the Earth's atmosphere has some capacity to hold in heat, but not much of one. A relatively simple calculation would show that Earth's surface temperature would drop by a factor of 2 about every 2 months if the sun were to shut off. The current mean temperature of the Earth's surface is about 300 Kelvin or 80 degrees Fahrenheit and about 26 degrees Celsius. This means that in just 2 months the temperature would drop to 150 Kelvin or about negative 189 degrees Fahrenheit and negative 123 degrees Celsius. So summing it all up, it would basically be too cold for humans within just a few weeks. Some bacteria may be able to survive deep in the oceans as it's closer to the core of the planet, but in terms of humans, most of us probably wouldn't survive. It says we could probably survive if we went deep underground where the Earth's internal heat is higher, or if we built totally isolated habitation domes, but at the moment I don't think we're capable of something like that. So if the Vex destroyed and burnt out our sun like seen in Curse of Osiris, humans would be doomed. Now if no alien force were attacking us, we'd be forced to live underground as deep as we can get. Like stated in that article, if we were closer to the planet's core, things would be warmer and we might have a chance. So if the Vex would have won, our sun would have been destroyed, blocking out planets across the system and collapsing life into ashes like it was nothing. Here in this dark future, the Vex would have been the only thing that remained, and everything the Guardians had done to try and save the last city, to save humanity, wouldn't have mattered anymore.
The lighthouse! This is what Osiris saw.
Neither light nor darkness exists anymore. The sun's warmth is gone. All life lost.
Now again, I'm not a scientist or anything like that, but I thought it'd be fun to apply some of this research to Destiny and see what would happen if the Vex did destroy our sun. Would we be able to survive if they didn't attack and we were stuck here on Earth? Anyway, Guardians, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Not sure about you, but in my opinion, I hope we get some type of Vex expansion in the future. Not sure what they're currently working on, but Curse of Osiris just really didn't do it for me. There's so much awesome backstory to Vex, and we know how the community reacted over a year ago with Curse, so hopefully something can be cooked up in the future, or at least important to the other expansions. I guess we'll have to wait and see. But that's all I got for today. If you'd like to become a voice actor in my game, the link for the positions is down below. You just gotta email your voice lines to evadeofficial@yahoo.com and I'll give those a look. Also, be sure to leave down below other mysteries you'd like to see in future videos, and I thank you very much for watching. My name's Evade, and I'll catch you Guardians in the next one.